Sleep reboots the body and the brain. Now, I know I'm preaching to the choir when I talk about sleep. There are so many people that would love to just sleep and sleep and sleep. And then they toss and turn. And why? Because they're business owners. No, I'm just kidding. But as business owners, if you're like me, you probably wake up halfway through the night and you're thinking about employees and you're thinking about, oh no, I've got payroll coming up. And you're thinking about difficult customers that you're working with. Sometimes people are just flustered with kids. They're flustered with teenagers. They might be angry or disconnected from their spouse. There are all these things that keep us awake at night and it just kind of bottles up and it just kind of makes us stressful, right? And then you try to go have a productive day and feel on top of the world. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Sleep is one of those things you cannot outsource. You got to have a really good night's sleep. So much that the iPhone now has a sleep alarm on it. If you go to the health section of your iPhone, it will say, tell me when you want to go to bed at night. How many hours of sleep do you want to get? And it will start winding down and it will start zoning out your phone and it won't show you the ads and all this stuff at nighttime. It's going to start closing down. And as you start to go online late at night, it's going to remind you, you know, it's past your bedtime. You need to go to bed now. And it will start shutting down your apps because you're going to bed now. And it's not going to wake you up until you get up in the morning, right? So, I mean, everybody knows that sleep is really important. Now, I'm not making this up because everything that we're going to do tomorrow is dependent on the sleep we got last night and the night before. It actually works in like 48-hour cycles. So the sleep we got 2 nights ago actually is going to affect me today. And the sleep that I get last night is also going to affect me today. So how well did you sleep at night? And how many hours are you giving yourself? The reason I say that is because there are little tiny things that we do during the day that affect our sleep patterns. And I want to make sure that you know what they are so that then you have choices, right? And I'm going to ask you again, are you willing, will you follow me on this journey? And will you live outside your comfort zone? Because you're going to have to do a couple of things that are going to change. One of them is, can you get sunlight every single day? And you don't think that applies to sleep. It does. We need at least 30 minutes of sunlight a day. So if you have the chance to open your windows and open your blinds, let some sunlight in so that you get the vitamin K or whatever it is that your body needs, please get that. Okay. Make sure that you're getting some sunlight because that will affect the serotonin levels and the melatonin and all that stuff so that when you go to sleep at night, you sleep soundly. It's part of the brain processing properly is by getting sunlight. So if you don't have enough sunlight in your day, get out and get some. And so even if you're like me and you go running when it's pitch dark outside, make sure that at least you have the windows open during the day, that you get some sunlight, even if it's driving from job to job. But make sure you get some sunlight as part of your daily, everyday activity because it does affect your sleep at night. All right, so the next one is nicotine and caffeine. And I know for a lot of people, this is a great big staple in their diet. Either they're smoking or they're drinking lots of coffee or things like that. The nicotine and the caffeine are going to give you a false sense of that activity and action. Okay. And so what happens is that does really put stress levels on your body to the point where we had somebody in our network that was doing 5 Red Bulls a day just to try to get through the day and just stay awake. And then there was another woman that was doing 22 cups of coffee. Okay, so now the adrenals are just maxed out and they're not performing at all. And then you're so tired and there's nothing to get you back up again. Okay, so try to get off of that as much as possible. And we do it by cutting in half. So if you smoke 2 today, smoke 1 tomorrow, then smoke a half of one, and then don't smoke at all. If you drink 3 cups of coffee, drink 1.5, and then just break it down in half, 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 and half until you're completely off. That's the way that we wean ourselves off of that. But then go off of that and save the caffeine for moments where like you're driving dangerously through a canyon road or something, right? Then it actually works and you're like, whoa, wait a second, what was that? Right? It was more than your body was producing because it's not your norm, right? So avoid caffeine and nicotine if at all possible, because your body is going to start producing then natural energy. And that's what we want to get to is get away from artificial energies and get into natural energies. I cannot expect you to clean your house and I cannot expect you to declutter and I cannot expect you to clean up a hoarding situation if you don't have enough energy to do the job. Okay. It's going to be really tough if every time you walk into a room, you're like, oh, I just can't. I'm so exhausted. And if that's how you're feeling, then we have to address that at a mind body level, right? Avoid taking a nap within 6 hours of going to bed at night. Because if you're within that 6 hour window, chances are you're probably not going to go to bed on time. You're probably going to stay up and you're going to be wide awake at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because your body then kind of like reset itself, right? And it does. The nap and the sleeping, it resets your body and brain. Now, I'm in a business where right now we're doing lots of YouTube videos, we're creating lots of content and courses and stuff like that. My brain is on high, I call it mind meld, where I need a lot of brain power every day. And there are days it'll be like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've given my brain everything I have for the day. There's nothing left. And I'm like, man, I need a nap. And it might not be a long nap, it might be 15 minutes or so, but it kind of resets everything and I'm ready to go again for another 8 hours. So make sure that you're not sleeping within a 6 hour window of your bedtime. Don't be trying to take a nap at, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. That's not going to help you in any way. All right, the next thing that I want to bring to our attention is the food that we eat. This is not something that you can pay someone else to do. You can pay for food to be delivered to your house. You can pay for a chef to come to your house. You can drive through the drive through and you can buy food that you yourself didn't have to cook. But when we talk about food, I want to talk about how not eating a great big meal within 3 hours of your bedtime is, again, it's going to affect you personally. Okay. So this is really all about you. And how are you managing these little moments in your life so that you're maximizing your sleep on a regular basis? And the food that we eat, please do not eat a great big meal with all kinds of spicy stuff right before you go to bed at night, because that is going to keep you up all night. Right. And I don't want that to happen to you. So we have to start thinking in terms of, wait a second, I have a big meal coming up. Let's eat that at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and maybe have a light snack before bed, not eating the big meals, right? The big meals will keep you up during the night. I also want to avoid big workouts before bedtime. Do you remember how we talked about the energy encourages energy? I did this one night. I got going on the little mini tramp and it was kind of late. And I was like, oh, I haven't got it in yet. I'm going to hurry in. And I started jumping and I felt really great. So I'm like, hey, I'll go a little bit further. And then I felt really great. Okay, I'll go a little bit further. And then lo and behold, it came time to go to bed. And I was wide awake. I mean, I was ready to go. Okay, don't do that because then you're not going to get a good night's sleep, right? So it's a management of the food that you eat, when you eat the food, the kinds of food that you eat, the exercise that you get during the day, the sunlight that you get during the day. Really, already, probably some of you are like, hey, I'm out of my comfort zone already, right? I know that if I'm not doing this series of little tiny things, I can get out of whack really quick as well.